I don't know. It just seems it was very hard growing up. I have a baby that's 22 years old, and it was my dad's kid. So
tell me about yourself. What's your name?
I'm Pam. I've been in OKC for about too long, about 2003. And when I was growing up, I seemed like I was in the. I'm sorry, I get nervous. When I was growing up, my mom and dad was an alcoholic, and I have had 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and I'm the baby of the family. And
what was it like growing up?
I didn't like growing up.
You didn't like it?
No, because it seemed like my mom and dad didn't care whether I was alive or dead. They seemed like they only cared about their alcohol and going to work and coming back home. They didn't care. They seemed I was the rough one. They've already grown up 4 kids. Why would they want another one? And I guess I was an accident at the time. But I sure seemed like I got put through a lot growing up. So.
Then what?
When I was still growing up, that I got beat and raped all my life, so it's hard to trust anybody anymore because they just seem to be, I don't know. I don't know how to say this at all. I don't know, it was very hard growing up. I have a baby that's 22 years old, and it was my dad's kid, so I haven't seen my kid. And everybody might regret me for doing this, but I really don't care. It's hard to think, hey, if this boy looks like my dad, why would I want this kid? And I was in a coma, so.
So how old were you when you left home?
When I left home, I was probably about 10. I went down the street to a neighbor's house, but I was also bruised from head to toe. I don't know, it just seems like it's very hard. It's hard to be in a relationship too, because you think about, hey, where is this person going to beat you up, and don't want to live in this society where people they want to hurt you at times. People might not think that's the truth, but it is the truth. And I was married for 10 years because the only reason I got married is to get out of the house.
What was your profession as an adult?
I was I worked at a police department.
Police officer?
Yes. I was a correction officer. I worked in a correction where people went to prison, and I was a guard there for a while. Then I decided to make to be a police officer, so that's what I did. But I was a police officer. The only reason I became a police officer because I wanted to take my mom and dad to jail every time they walked out of the house. But my partner told me I couldn't do that. So
you just couldn't arrest them out?
No, I couldn't. But one night, it's called a blue moon. You know what a blue moon is? One night at a blue moon, I was thrown over the bridge. My dad tried to run me off the bridge. I was driving home from work, and my dad was drunk, and he tried to run me off the bridge. And that's what things seemed to happen that way. Every time I turned around, my dad was always around where he shouldn't have been around.
What's the craziest thing that happened to you while you were a corrections officer?
Somebody holding me up.
They held you up? Tell us about it.
This guy, one night, he was probably he had just come into the correction place wherever he just got arrested, and they brought him there, and he was high on PCP, and he picked me completely up off the ground, and he scared the hell out of me. So I told him to put me down, and he said he was going to throw me out the door because he wanted out the door, and I was probably about 4'11", and ain't no way. I weighed about 280 pounds, and he picked me smooth up the thing. So that was kind of weird.
So why aren't you a police officer anymore?
I had cancer. I had brain cancer, and I quit. I had to resign.
Tell us about it.
Well, I found out I had cancer and everything, and I just couldn't. I have problems speaking. I'm just saying, I found out I had cancer, and I've had cancer 3 times. And I was driving back and forth from Missouri to Oklahoma, taking people down here. And I got lost from my partner. That's how I wound up at OKC Compassion.
So as a corrections officer, you were driving inmates back and forth from Oklahoma to where?
From Kansas City, Missouri to Oklahoma City.
And then?
They could go to court. And I got lost from my partner. So I wound up on 122nd and I-35. And that's when my car broke down. My van broke down, and this guy helped me get it started. And then this other guy, the police officer, told me that I couldn't sit on the side of the road. And I said, okay. I said, why? He said, because they take people to jail when they do that. I said, why? He said, if you don't got any money in your pocket. I said, I think I have money in my pocket. And he says, you still need to move your car. I reached out and got my badge out of the car and said, I do what now? And he said, you're out of your jurisdiction. So they helped me. So I got really mad at the police officer and walked all the way from 122nd to Walmart. Read on my car through.
It's like 8 miles.
Yeah. And this lady felt sorry for me, so she took me to OKC Compassion. And I waited for somebody to help me go get my van. And when the time I got to go get my van, it started, and they followed me all the way back here. And that's when I asked Pastor Ron if I could park in his parking lot. And he said, as long as I wasn't a drug addict and nothing, I could do that. So that's what I did.
So, is that when you came to stay at Compassion?
No, I left and then came back.
About when?
About 2 days later that I come and stayed there. And I stayed at the house for about a little over 2 weeks. And then I moved into my own house down the street. And
what did you do at Compassion?
I answer telephones. I guess I'm people's nursemaids sometimes. That's the way I feel. I try to help them out a lot.
Why?
Because that's my calling. Quit. Why do I keep on doing this at OKC Compassion?
Oh, yeah. How do you feel about the people around here?
I like some of them, and some of them I don't like, but I have to tolerate them anyway. So that's what I do. I have compassion for some people, a lot of people around here, and they don't have compassion for me, but they just they always ask me. I feel like I got to help them because that's what God wanted me to do, and that's what brought me here.
Does it make you feel good?
Sometimes it does. Yeah. If I can help people, that makes me feel good. If I can't help people, it makes me really feel bad because about 6 months ago, this family that had 13 children, and we couldn't seem to help them and everything. And my brother in this cord, I have this cord around my finger. That couldn't help these people because they didn't have any place to go or nothing. And we finally raked up enough money to send them to a motel room for one night. That's what we see. We help people every day. We try to. But some of them really does get on our nerves. And
what's the strangest thing you've seen here?
Too many people doing drugs. I don't know. The strangest thing I've seen down here. Somebody making out in our parking lot. That's the strangest thing I've seen so far.
Well, you're doing good then.
And probably people doing drugs. So we had some people doing math around in our parking lot, and some people that tries to walk out and not to. But we do have a bunch of nice people around here. But
Tell us about those.
Tell us about
Tell
those.
us about the nice people.
Well, Pastor Mon, he's compassionate towards everybody where he shouldn't be. He's so compassionate. And you got Chrissy drives, and I think sometimes she's got compassion and sometimes she don't. But there's also CJ. He's being nice around here sometimes.
What about Linda?
She's okay when you get to know her. Took me a little time to know her because at first I think she was grouchy. But that's because she's old. She's old, and she's set in her ways. Me, Pastor Bob, and Lanham, because we tell people, we try to help people out so they wouldn't, they've been on drugs and alcohol and been in the prison, and try to help them, give them a face up. And some people doesn't do that. Once they think they would get out of prison, they're free, and they're not free. They think they are. And the people that don't make it, we try to help them find a place to live. And that's the way Pastor Mon is. He's very compassionate over that. That's his life, and he's willing to help go the next mile, ready to help a lot of people. But me and Lana was always telling me, no, you don't need to go that far. But sometimes I wonder what brought him, why he would want to do this and everything. So he's got to have it in his heart to make things the way he wants to do it. But he's old. He wants to help everybody else he can.